What's up, everyone? It's another episode of the Cryptocurrents. Thankfully, I got super busy and wasn't able to record anything for a little bit right as the price collapsed, so I didn't really have to worry about panic checking. Fortunately, I'm sure a lot of you probably were able to panic check during it, and it probably was not enjoyable to watch it fall. Still not exactly enjoyable to come back and see it that it's basically, I believe it was back to 6,900. Yeah, 6,993. So now that it's finally stopped falling, like just in free fall, because it went down to 64 and then 65 and then back down a little bit, and now today it's like last night and up to today it's climbed a little bit to 6,900, whereas before it was looking even worse than that. Let's go ahead, take a look on TradingView. There wasn't really a lot of news lately because as it falls, a lot of the general hype around it goes away, and also a lot of the reporting on it is just the price, rightfully so. Like, it's news, and this is definitely new. Yeah, it was floating around 68, and now it's climbed back up to 69 with it hitting a couple resistance points, but it being in the high 69s for right now. The chart from yesterday is saying that 7,200 is a pretty good point, but it looks like it hit 7,200 there and then it immediately came back down. So I think that right now the market trend for it is bear. I'm very bullish on it, but I have some money like in my account on Gemini to like US dollar already deposited to buy it, and I'm not sold that it's not going to go back down to like 66 or 67. I think it would have to go all the way up to, let me take a look. Yeah, it would have to go all the way back up to above 8 for me to really consider it buying again. Because I bought before this like extra significant dip at around 9 or 10. Thinking that, and even quite a bit at 8, thinking that it would definitely start to trend back up, even while looking at the charts and seeing that the analysis was kind of saying one way or the other, and this was saying also to hold off on the buy, like just TradingView's basic technical analysis, which isn't the worst. Like, one problem is that, like, especially that I was running into, is that even though I have some books on it, and I read how to read the charts, the irregularity in cryptocurrency has made it, I'm still trying to like fine-tune when I buy, because I'm still mostly just buying based on what I believe in the project, rather than what the price is at that point, unless it's in the middle of like a giant spike, and I think it'll go back down within a day or two. So on a slightly related note, I want to bring up our trading sheet so far. So I believed in Binance, and it didn't have the giant spike in price yet from announcing the move to Malta and then announcing fiat pairs, and that has made the price climb up quite a bit. Nucleus Vision, while everything else has been falling, isn't falling the worst. It's performing quite well compared to the other altcoins, and then Litecoin has taken a pretty big hit as it's gone down 30% since we got it, all the way down to about 119 or 120 right now. I think with Abra and the fact they're constantly getting involved with merchant services and things like that, I think in the short term that's going to hurt their price. So I'll probably, instead of having that money I have in Gemini, stay in Bitcoin. I might get the Bitcoin and then acquire a Litecoin on an exchange where it's cheaper, or on Binance where I can cover the fees. But our portfolio is still technically positive. Other than Litecoin, it's performing all right. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the price of Bitcoin, which is definitely the biggest news in general. Still a big believer in the technology, and speaking of which, one thing I see is like, is Ethereum is Ethereum Classic the real Ethereum, or is like the current Ethereum the real Ethereum, or is it Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, or Litecoin Cash or Litecoin, or Monero, whatever. And that just kind of brings us to like this general paradox called the ship of Theseus, also known as Theseus's paradox. It's a thought experiment that raises the question of whether an object that has had all of its components replaced remains fundamentally the same object. Several variants are known, including the grandfather's axe, which has had its both head and handle replaced. The particular version of the paradox is first introduced in Greek legend as reported by the historian Plutarch. The ship where Theseus and the youth of Athens returned from Crete had 30 oars and was preserved by the Athenians down to the time of Demetrius Phalereus. For they took away the old planks as they decayed, putting in new and stronger timber in their places, insomuch that this ship had become a standing example among the philosophers, for the logical question of things that grow, one side holding that the ship remained the same and the other contending that it was not the same. The modern variation of it is the grandfather's axe, where over time both the head and handle have been replaced. Has been personified with the names of famous hatchet and axe wielders such as George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. So it's basically just the question of, like, one of the extremes that it's taken to in the YouTube video that I watched on this is that what if all of those old parts, when it was taken off of that initial ship and it was replaced with stronger parts, if you saved all those old parts, restored them, and then built a new ship, which one would be the original ship of Theseus? Would it be the one that was initially made of the old parts and slowly replaced over time and then became a new ship? Or would it be the one that was the parts of the old ship but then it was rebuilt? Which one really is the ship of Theseus? And it applies to the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin because they are hard forks. Like, let's say they are literal hard forks and they're not super different in script or like Bitcoin Cash has some differences in technology, but Litecoin Cash is just a straight rip. A lot of the Monero ones are straight rips, or hard forks. Sorry to use this slang for it when there is a real term. But yeah, if Bitcoin is going off the original version, so let's say the original vision, which is it's not the point. If you read the whole white paper, you realize that it's so much more, but the title of it is indeed like a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So let's say you take that hard stance of you just go off the title and don't read the paper, then you would indeed think that Bitcoin has gone off of its path. It's no longer the original ship of Theseus. It's not being used as an electronic peer-to-peer cash system. It's basically becoming its own entire system and blockchain for digital currency, which is not functioning as the same thing. If that's the one way of looking at it. So you could say, once again, that Bitcoin is not really the ship of Theseus because it's not really doing what it was supposed to do, and we have, the code and the restored wood in this case being the increased block size. So we are now the ship of Theseus. However, on the flip side, if you look at Bitcoin as being like this and blockchain and the premise of it replacing really like the centralized financial system and giving power to users not only for cash but to store their finance and to get involved in exchanges, and like it wasn't explicitly outlined in that paper, but it was meant to become like an entire system on its own, and it's gotten and it's worked out fantastically. So now let's say Bitcoin Cash is taking a step backwards. It's not looking to be an entire system. It just wants to take a short-term solution to a long-term problem of scaling by just increasing the block size, which likely won't change a lot of things long-term in terms of the problems of scaling. It just provides relief in the short term, which definitely provides a service. So then you could say that, well, we're the original ship of Theseus, the way we've restored the wood, and now this is the better one. You are following the old system of just trying to be a peer-to-peer cash system and not understanding the bigger picture. So it's like in a literal sense, there is no right or wrong answer other than when things like Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin Cash or Monero forks, when they explicitly say that they are the real or whatever, that is the only wrong answer. Because the whole point of the paradox is that it's up for debate if you take it to the most extreme sense of if you built a new one, what would it be? Or if you take it in the original sense of just which is that really the original ship of Theseus, if you've replaced all the wood, replaced all the sails, replaced everything on it. And I for one believe that, I believe pretty firmly that the ship of Theseus that had been repaired and whatnot is the real ship of Theseus, and then the old one can be the parts that were rebuilt and whatnot, but also the concept of which one is the real one is unnecessary. Because if it's the ship of Theseus, like, that ship is whichever ship that person uses, like in the possessive sense. But then if you want to take it like, if something historical happened during that time, which one would you use for the history museum, right? If both of them were preserved, which one would you use for the history museum? And you would probably want to use whichever one had the achievements that made it famous. So, in that sense, if the ship of Theseus went through a great exploration or war, whichever ship went through those achievements should be deemed the ship of Theseus. So in that sense, Bitcoin is being used as like a full blockchain ecosystem to be used for things to be built on, and also as the best entrance to cryptocurrencies as a whole. So I believe those are the shining achievements of Bitcoin, rather than just becoming a digital cash, which is a giant achievement as well. I personally believe it's not as much of a grand achievement. So if we're talking about which one is the ship of Theseus, which one is the Bitcoin, I definitely lean towards Bitcoin, or as Bitcoin Cash fans put it, Bitcoin Core. So I just wanted to go over that. I wasn't expecting it to take like 10 minutes, but it happens. So the market stopped falling at around 6,500 and they immediately climbed to 67. The price has failed to find support at 7,000 as of the start of the weekend, and as of today, it went above 7,000 briefly, as you saw even on this live stream, and then dropped right back down to high 69, now just 69. So it's now right back up to 7. Like, it's fluctuating. It's not finding a nice stability point yet. Google's Bitcoin Death Index quite accurate. As Bitcoin staged its tentative recovery, new data shows belief in its resilience is in fact its highest when prices are low. Even more curiously, the fewest number of Bitcoin dead searches in the past year occurred in the period of March 4th to 10. The week BTC slid from 11.5 to under 85. Yeah, it's apparently died 273 times according to the news and the dips in it. I do think we're in a bit of a long-term bear run, not in like a full year. But if all of this big money came out, it's going to take a few successful projects and a few payment processors to come online to really spark something before just the end of year buzz and extra income that comes in around it. Kazakhstan looks to ban cryptocurrency even though they are corrupt. That is why they are banning it, because they are corrupt. If they can't watch everything, and then also what they do is public, then that's awful for them. So why would they have a cryptocurrency? It's just more, kind of like disappointing news. In a new Ethereum improvement proposal Vitalik authored on April 1st, the cryptocurrency's creator issued his latest thoughts on the matter. Network's cryptocurrency be set at 120,204,432, or exactly 2 times the amount of Ether sold in its original sale in 2014. Basically saying that the market value of all of this is higher than he believes it's worth, and he's gonna like try to cut down on it personally in his own way, which I don't believe is the right decision. But he's free to do what he sees best. He's earned that right to at least make those decisions for his own currency, especially with the ability to hard fork and the somewhat success of Ethereum Classic. The maddening task of calculating taxes on crypto. Here's the bottom line. It is, as you can see on all of this, it is super time consuming. If you aren't already tracking it on an Excel spreadsheet prior to doing all of this, then it's going to be hard to catch up. You're better off paying the 0.001 Bitcoin, I believe, on cointracking.info. Let me see. Like this year, it's probably too late, especially to do it through like a service that'll actually file all your taxes for you and you get it in on time. But let me see. Oh, do they not have their pricing list on the reporting tax report? Huh. Pricing. Yeah, so for 0.019 Bitcoin, which at this point in time is $132.60. They will use APIs for your exchanges. They will sort through, they will use this website. If you pay for Pro on this website, you can get this to track all the APIs on your exchanges, do all that for you, and then you can sort through it all and actually make it like a fileable tax report. Alright. And yeah, later.